Hi everybody, I'm Zaideth. This is my bookshelf, and as you can tell from the title and hopefully from the picture in the preview, today is an unboxing of Dungeon Decor number 2. This arrived in the mail to me today. I am really happy it got here, and I've got to say, I didn't think this video would be coming out first. I thought I'd be making a video about the new series of Reaper Bones miniatures, which have finally come off from the Kickstarter number 2 into the regular store, but this arrived first, and I'm not really ready to do the other video, so let's just go with a regular unboxing. Now, I've got my handy hobby knife ready, so while I open this up, let me tell you a little bit about this. Now, Dungeon Decor is a new one on me. It's a small product, I guess, Kickstarter by a man named Johnny Luck. Now, if, like me, you were not familiar beforehand with the name, very quickly, Mr. Locke was one of the big names behind the Mega Miniatures. I don't know if this is just a web store or a genuine store or just a full line, but he ran that, and his first Dungeon Decor series was apparently very well received, and he worked at it so much that he had ideas left over for quite a few sequels, hence Dungeon Decor 2. His other work included Roadkill Corpses. I gotta say, that's an interesting concept in its own right. Taxidermy miniatures. If you want dead animals, or if you want something to mount on your miniature background walls, I guess that's a good place to go. And okay, 2 little boxes in here. A note from Mr. Johnny Board Castings himself. Excellent. Letting us know that Salvage Crew will be available at Kickstarter sometime in the fall or winter. So, nice little plug for the future project. And besides that, he had one other Kickstarter previously, which succeeded, called Salvage Crew, another series of 28 millimeter humans. So, there's that. He's made some interesting projects, and he continues to make quite a lot of them. Big notice on the Kickstarter is that he has his personal blog site, johnnyboardcastings.blogspot.mx. It's a blog originating in Mexico. That's interesting. Maybe it's mirrored for... Oh yeah, johnnyboardcastingsblogspot.com, so I guess it just mirrors depending on what country you're reading it from. Interesting little technological bit there. And his Kickstarter redirects to this site where he's done a very interesting series of articles on what it's like to actually produce for Kickstarter, what you should really look at when you're starting a miniature campaign, breakdown of the business, and some really interesting financial information. Really come across breakouts times. According to him, he's managed to produce all of his miniatures and complete delivery on his projects within 45 days of starting of the project's close. So really, when it comes to a Kickstarter, you can't beat a turnaround like that. 2 months after it ends, and you've already gotten your stuff, and that's actually a testimonial in my case. This survey was sent 3/31, March 31st, and today is June the 2nd for me. The package was sent out last week. I had to take a little bit of extra time to get it, but 2-3 month delivery time between completion and sending out individual orders. That's really good. Other projects I've got I'm still waiting for, just for the survey to get what I want. Okay. So I want to do this very quickly, cut tape so I can put this knife away because I'm paranoid about having sharp objects around uncared for, especially when I'm splitting my attention between doing the video and opening and unboxing. So here we have the first one. A lot of shredded paperwork. I'm sure this is fascinating data in its own right, or it was originally, but I won't be going through it. And out come the first little Ziplocs. Could probably keep these for packing, but I've got enough garbage packing peanuts to keep someone else's little mail. Now, what attracted me to this one, despite the fact that I had absolutely no experience with Mr. Johnny Borg previously, was that the miniatures he was offering were accessories, the kind of which you don't normally see. Now, I have looked through other stores looking for miniature accessories, and the main ones I saw were Spellcrow and MaxMini.eu, which offered books, candles, and skulls, or the Max Mini site, and Spellcrow had books and skulls and candles and other paraphernalia, all of them called librarium sets. If you look around, you'll find more of the same for most of the websites in question. Stuff related to weapons, or maybe skulls and maybe books, but not a whole variety. Dungeon Decor series basically had a variety of furnishings, some basic human characters that look like background guys, very Dungeons and Dragons-esque, but the stretch goals, this is crazy. Each new stretch goal that got added in unique things that I haven't seen before. A lot of these things, for example, this is a plate. I don't know if that's showing up well. Dull brightness a little in post-production. This is a plate with about 6/10 of a cut pie on it. And the rest of these metal pieces, which I'm just pulling out, and I hope I don't drop anything. Let's see. Your standard cartoony bellows. See if I can get that to focus in properly. I'm going to have to kill the lighting on this. This is a roast turkey on a platter. Peas and a leg of lamb, I think. Bottle, quite a bit of flesh on it. Oh, this is a very big one. Roast pig. On a silver platter with garnish and other things around it. That's very nice. Anvil. Broom. See if I can. The metal's pretty thin on this one, so I'm going to be very careful with it. And we have a bunch of other little things: blacksmith hammer, jug for water, platter with fish, another platter with fish. And basically a few more miscellaneous foodstuffs that I'm going to have a very interesting time painting. Oh, this is nice, little sundial. up. I'm going to do a very different setup for the future. And this is nice. A set of kindling firewood. Alchemist measuring scales. Not seen those. Not seen a set like that since high school. An hourglass. Or timer sand, depending on how you know it. Small shovel and some more bottles. And a flagon or two. Anyway, like I was saying before I started showing these off, the big thing I liked about the series was that it includes stuff that you would expect to find in a fantasy setting, but for whatever reason, you haven't really seen from other miniature companies. It's one thing to have you set of Beowulf and all your other adventurers in their great gilded halls, Vikings and whatnot at meals, a little bit of Thor channeling there. Yet, if all you have is the hall and the Vikings, you sort of think, well, aren't they supposed to be doing something? What's missing? And of course, the obvious answer is, you're missing the food, you're missing the trappings, you're missing all these little accessories, which will typically be taken care of by a table set piece with a drawn animation on it. By that I mean there's some good pictures, some good terrain makers who make these type of things with paper terrain, which is nice, which is good, but for variety's sake, and to have different things at different times, you're going to want actual physical miniatures on the board. There's no solution for that except to actually make them. And I've not seen many people make those, so when I saw the stretch goals include crazy stuff like what I've got here, I didn't even hesitate. I saw like 35 bucks. It has 35 basic miniatures and over 40 stretch goals. I just tossed it. Here's an interesting one. Wall mounted torch. Glue it on. To scenario. Glue it onto the walls or magnetize it. That'll work. A butter churner. Pretty tall. I'm not sure if it's the same scale as a broom, but then I've never actually seen a butter churner. Three-legged cauldron. It's really nice. Something to add to a variety of witch miniatures. And then we get a variety of other little things. Here's a length of rope, coiled. Purse or traveling sack, knapsack, backpack, whatever. A variety of scrolls. Really got to get into the habit of doing this properly, pulling things out and showing them to you. The first one was a big cauldron. This is a small one. If that's flash, no problem. Otherwise, I'm probably bending it out of shape there. This one is really cute, I think. It's a vase with 3 canes or umbrellas in it. Nice little detail, I think. Lute. No strings, but pretty good size. Second wall torch. Always good to have those in pairs, I guess. open book. Another couple of scrolls. Here's going to be a hard one. This is called the Bat Mirror. I'm not sure why. Someone who's more familiar with D&D type lore and these type of games can probably tell me that. I can get that to focus right. Lovely detail on the edges of the mirror. Another jug and the cauldron lid, and quite a few books. And here we have a parchment, a scroll with quill and ink pot. I don't know if that shows up very well. Apparently my quest to get a better camera and probably better lighting will have to wait until after all the other miniatures I wanted have arrived. I know that's not likely to happen, but oh well. We push things back and we push things back. Now I've opened 2 bags out of at least 4. Here's a nice little thing. Those of you who used to play Monopoly as a kid, this one is significantly bigger, definitely miniature scale. You can toss that in. I like that very much. And this was included as the stretch goals, a variety of random weapons within the categories. Like swords, you get 3 different randoms between 8 possible choices. Pole arms the same. So far I think I've gotten a halberd, Beck the Corbin, and I'm pretty sure this is my third one is a warhammer. Very good mix. Daggers and swords. Here's a nice little falchion. I'm guessing that is a giant two-handed hammer by the looks of it. Or maul. And some pretty fantasy-ish looking daggers. That thing's got a bit too much flash in it, but, oh, and of course, ranged longbows. That's a really bad flash there, but it'll come off easy. So far so good. That's 3 bags, 1 box down, second box to go. I really don't know how he was able to do this so cheaply, because this really is a nice variety of miniatures. Okay, we have 2 more bags in here, and the box is empty, no packing materials. Okay, and the last is the box of the basic stuff that was included. So all of that was all the stretch goals. Here we have the basic materials from inside now. This giant table, really big, really nice. 1 bench. All of these are in metal. Here we have a cut barrel style chair. So it's like, you can see it's the round barrel on the bottom, but it's been cut, very nice indentations, so that people just sit on it comfortably. I like the detail. This one, I don't know what the name for this style is. It's kind of arched, with a back on one end. So, whatever country, nationality, or origin that is, anyone wants to let me know in the comments section, grateful. Small end table. Oh, this is nice. This is one of the ones pieces that really caught my eye. Grindstone. So, if you have a scenario that calls for a blacksmith forge and doesn't have really tools in it, well, you got a grinding stone. Another single stand table, pretty nice. Basic box chair. One thing I have to say is that most of these do feel pretty heavy compared to other miniatures I've had. Not excessively, but at least they're not going to tip over easily on their own. Looks nice. Another small bench. The main thing I can compare them to is the furniture I've got from the Reaper Bones series. It's my bookshelf, which I finished recently. And here currently, work in progress, this table being painted. Compared, obviously, to the Bones material, metal is significantly heavier, but I don't think that's a bad thing in this case. What I really like is that they seem to be pretty compatible on first glance. The scale is identical. And the last piece, what I expected, is the wooden coffin with movable lid. There's an indent on this side, so it fits in smoothly, or relatively smoothly. Yeah. And you have the basic wooden coffin. There's nothing on the inside, so if you want to add something like something that looks like cloth lining, or if you want to add a corpse, vampire, or a skeleton in there, it's bare bones, so you can just add whatever flourish you want to it. And now we reach the last of the bags. We have more benches, at least two. A few more chairs. These are in an identical stone. 5 of them at least. 6 actually. And last, and depending on who you make, and probably in my opinion also the least of the miniatures options, are the actual patrons. Here we have a kind of wizard looking guy. He's set so he can fit in any of the chairs. He's got a staff and a bit of a funky little hat. You could paint him up as a wizard, or just make him look like a civilian old man. This looks like a young lady sitting, engaged in conversation. Town drunkard, or just a guy passed out. He seems to be, he's holding his mug and he's really bent low into his drink, so you can't see his face, and that's actually a plus in my opinion. Having anonymous background guys who remain anonymous is a nice little touch. Here we have an ordinary civilian, male or female, I can't really tell. Probably see the way paint goes for him. Sitting crossed-armed, not very impressed with anything. And finally, I've seen these two from painted from the Kickstarter itself. We have two barbarians, I suppose. Their legs are pretty that fuzzy style of boot or fur wrapped around the ankles. One male, one female. He's eating, she's eating, he's eating, she's drinking, 2 barbarians at the tavern. The miniatures will probably not fit in very well with a variety of fantasy lines, and that is why I consider them the least of the miniatures. It's very different when you're talking about background pieces to actual miniatures characters, because of scale, proportions, clothing style. It's easy for a guy in it doesn't matter if he's a Reaper Bones, it doesn't matter if it's a Warhammer Fantasy, or maybe even something else like a Privateer Press steampunk guys. It doesn't matter if they're face to face with tables and chairs, or a coffin, or weapons even. You can just say they're in a slightly more rustic location, but when you're facing with different, probably incompatible scale miniatures, like I don't know if these guys count as 28mm or 28 heroic, that makes them slightly less valuable to me. Well, although the fact that some of these are so generic, the old man with beard and funny clothes, the guy asleep in his mug, the woman and the man just sitting down there, they're generic enough so that they can pass as nobodies within that one. So I do give props. They will probably fit into a variety of locales and fit in with a good variety of models, even though they're not ideal, in my opinion. But that is the Tavern Dungeon Decor set, Dungeon Decor 2. All in all, I am very impressed. I was expecting a slightly sorry, I was expecting I was expecting the variety, expecting the miniatures to arrive. I'm very happy with what I got. I'll have to go through them. I probably won't be able to tell what it is I've got until I start basing and priming and painting. Some of the foodstuffs are pretty eclectic. And the same goes for all the weapons. Once I clean up the flash and see what I can get in detail, probably decide then what the actual weapons I have are. But all in all, I'm really happy. For a $35 investment, I've gotten close to 100 miniatures. And this is one of those rare instances where the Kickstarter really is a final situation. According to the blog, to his blog, Johnny Board Castings doesn't make these with an intent to sell at his shop. What he says is he's basically coming up with the concepts he wanted to have in Mega Miniatures before that was shut down, and he got them out of sight, out of mind, finished the castings, put it up on Kickstarter, and once he's done, he'll offer them briefly on his store, online store, before who knows what he does with them actually. The impression I get is that Dungeon Decor will be available on his online store for a brief amount of time, and then he will sell the molds to some other company. The Dungeon Decor Series 2 is available will be available for a shop once he finishes sending out to everyone who pledged. But the Dungeon Decor 1 set has already been sold off. So even though he's the creator, he's basically sold the molds and the rights. And who he sold them to, whether they actually released this to the public, or they bothered, making it after they bought the rights and the molds to it. That's a bit of an odd one. I'm a little conflicted on this. It's very much funding a project, so it's like get them while they're here, which is fairly true of all games, even the ones that are not kickstarted. Once the company's gone, once the creator loses interest, once the shop stops carrying them, you've pretty much got a limited edition item that'll never be seen again. But this one has seems to have an intentionally short lifespan, that he created them and he sells them, and once he's done with them, he sells off the intellectual property and all the assets, and it's up to whoever purchased them whether or not they are going to do anything with them. So, if you're alright with that type of concept, if you're not interested at all in the business side of it and are just looking for some interesting miniatures to add some environment or detail to your line or your conversion work, I can't recommend these enough. It's going to be a while before I figure out exactly what I'm going to do with these things, but given the amount of fantasy miniatures I've got quite a number of Reaper Bones. I've got some, what are they called? I've got some other basic fantasy style and era miniatures and Kickstarters coming up in the future. And a variety of other little games that I'd probably be making dioramas for. So all in all, I think if anything like that appeals to you, or if you just want to have a miniature with I don't know, a girl with a serving tray, or a blacksmith at his work, or a peasant pushing a wheelbarrow, or just a regular dungeon scene, or a tavern scene, or all that type of stuff, these are you guys. Okay, well, I've rambled enough, and I have no idea how long this video is, so I am going to sign off. I'm Zaid. Thanks for visiting. Hope to hear from you in the comment section below. Take care.